hello. Today, we're going to talk about discovering your inner peace and happiness and how that can lead to success and to understand some specific ways to be able to do that. Today, my guest is Avital Miller. Did I say that correctly?
Almost.
Oh, my goodness. Help me.
Avital. But
Avital.
if it helps, Siri thinks my name is Albital.
Albital.
Now, Dan, you've never seen me standing, but I'm actually pretty short. So I get really excited when Siri messes up my name.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool. Well, thank you for joining me today. And so just for the audience, just a little bit of background is Avital, and I know I did it. Okay. Is a, specializes in, healing and doing, helping others through yoga and dance and healing and really just a really cool lady that I wanted to host today because I know that this is an important topic for many people. So tell us a little bit about yourself if you could.
Yeah, I absolutely can. And it's fun when people are interested in this healing side, because if they know more about my background, they also know that I was a program manager at Microsoft, that I have an engineering degree. And they can ask, what in the world is a former program manager from Microsoft doing being involved with healing? And this is a fun piece of the story to pick up on. But I realized that Microsoft wasn't my thing. And I just very naturally, because I already grew up as a gymnast and a dancer, I fell into the yoga and fitness industry. And I became a teacher trainer, fitness director. And I'm teaching 25 to 30 classes all over town, known as the Energizer Bunny. That was until I started having issues with fatigue.
Okay.
My hair falling out, my muscles turning to fat. I was becoming weaker than my students and worried that I would be out of the job, right? And Dan, if you couldn't add up numbers anymore, you'd wonder, can I really still do real estate?
Sure.
And for a lot of you listening, you might also think about, well, if I didn't have the skills anymore to do my favorite hobby or my work, what is going to happen with me? And I did what most of us would do. I went to the doctor.
Okay.
The doctor diagnosed me with an autoimmune disorder called Hashimoto's, as well as hypothyroidism. And they put me on a high dosage of medication, gave me a handful of supplements, sent me out the door saying, that's it for life.
Okay.
And here's one of the keys when we talk about the inner peace and happiness, because I believed them. But the believing in itself gave me a sense of peace because I wasn't going to be in resistance to what was happening.
How long ago was that?
That was about 15 years ago.
Okay, so quite a while ago. Okay, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so then they give you your prescriptions, give you your pills, and send you on your way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that did provide you with peace because you felt like, okay, I have a solution to this. I have a feeling there's more to this story, so carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there was a piece where I'm like, all right, I see a great vision for myself and what I can offer people in life. Like it doesn't stop here. There was a moment where I thought I was going to die. I mean, it's the doctor's prognosis is not death. It's not that extreme, but when you're sick and you just keep getting sicker and it takes a while to find solutions, that's where your thinking is. So that's when you really get clear, like, all right, there's a purpose for me to live. And I will just do the best I can and work with what is happening to me. It's kind of like, in some cultures, there's still arranged marriages. And
Sure.
The reason why their divorce rate is lower than in America is because they figure out how to work with the situation that they have. So
you had to adapt.
You adapt. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a different focus around marriage, of course, as well. But I just said, all right, well, if this was like my arranged marriage partner that I'm stuck with for the rest of my life, how do I marry this person in the best way possible? And what do we do when that happens? We turn to the books, we turn to the internet, we turn to various different types of health and healing professionals. We try out different things on our body and routines and diets, and I did all of them. And I'm starting to level myself out. Like I'm feeling better. I'm on a hormone medication. It's very up and down, especially in a woman's body, but I'm level. And then I start meditating. And Dan, you just mentioned earlier that you enjoy meditating and the feeling of peace. This is about inner peace. So what does meditation give you?
Can I interrupt you one moment?
Yes.
So Avital was on the podcast before I was, and she was waiting for me, and she became bored. So when I entered the room, she was meditating, and I was like, should I say something? I was, a little curious on how I could sort of transition to not to respect you, and so that was just a little bit of our start today. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
I thought it was humorous.
Yeah, well, and I'd like to mention a tip about that because I mean, what people don't know is I have like pages of notes in front of me of all these because you sent me a bunch of questions, and
Yeah.
and I have my previous talks that I've done before, and the mind can get all mumble jumble with all of these words and all of these things. And if I just sit there and meditate for a little bit beforehand and then say what's coming true from the heart and trust that I already know what I need to share, I can come into this more relaxed. And I'm guessing for all of you as a listener, it's going to be easier to receive in that way. So let's, just a great example there of just relaxing into the moment rather than stressing about what was going to happen. When I stressed in the process of healing and I did all these things that I didn't like to do, it didn't do anything for me. It just caused more stress. So I had to work with the things that were the most enjoyable. And here I'm meditating because it's enjoyable. And after a couple of months of meditating, I'm not feeling well. So this is where we're like, what?
So 15 years ago, the doctor sent you on your way. You discovered meditation as a part of your journey. About how long after that, or how long ago?
I had already started meditating. It was just once a week. I couldn't. Well, I'd already gone to the yoga teacher training even before that, where you would meditate, and I could barely sit and meditate. They said, well, just close your eyes for 5 minutes and then you can open it for the rest of the 30-minute meditation. So that was what I did. I just sat there and like drummed my fingers on the table waiting for meditation. So those of you who have trouble meditating, like there's hope for you. That was the first thing. And then on my own, without being at the community, I actually, because I was a fitness director, I started a class once a week. And so I did everything I could in my schedule to be at that class. It was with this really, really sweet Buddhist monk. And he would come in, give a lesson, and lead the meditation. So I was meditating once a week. I moved into the yoga community. I meditated every day because I had the accountability structure around me and a group to meditate regularly with.
Okay. Then a couple months later, share with after you began that. Tell us again what happened then.
Not feeling well.
Okay.
I go to the doctor. She runs the tests on me, and the doctor says, "Well, you're overdosed on your medication. You need to lower your dosage." I'm like, "Okay." So I lower my dosage. I level out, and then a couple of months later, not feeling well. Right. In the meantime, my meditation practice is getting stronger. Go back to the doctor. She runs the tests. "Well, you're overdosed on your medication. You need to lower your dosage." So this kept going on.
Sure. That's interesting.
And in the meantime, I'm learning everything I can about health and healing through the yoga practices and the meditation practices in this community. And I start sharing them with people because I'm so fascinated by what's happening with me. And then you probably know, Dan, like if you buy a new car, then all of a sudden you notice that type of car all around you. So it's when
reticular activating system allows for us to do that.
Exactly. So my reticular activating system was like, oh, look at how many other stories of healing there are, more extreme than mine, right? I didn't have a life sentence. I just had discomfort. Okay. And other people were told they're going to die in a few months or a few hours, but they turned that around. So that's where the curiosity peaks. Like, how is that possible?
Okay. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. Well, and this is where this book here, right behind my shoulder, comes into
Healing Happens.
Healing Happens, Stories of Healing Against All Odds. I just thought if this many people are having these stories of healing beyond what you would expect, more people need to know. And we want to understand, is there something repeatable for all of us that we could do? And I interviewed all these people, and they're all different types of health and healing experts, because coincidentally, when they start to heal, then they do the research, why did I potentially heal? This thing that I did it have an impact on me or not? And then they start sharing that with other people. So there's Western medicine, there's Eastern, there's other types of modalities that are in the book. There's 17 health and healing practitioners, but there's tons of stories. Every one of them has a story, or more than one story, because they've been able to repeat that on their clients. But here's what's interesting. This is where the full body success mastery tips come in. And how are we really going to have that inner peace and happiness is by realizing that the success strategies for our health and having great health greatly impact how successful we're going to be in other areas of life. And the strategies are the same things that we can use for other areas of life. And
so
that's
tell us, what are those strategies?
More broadly. Oh, what's that?
So excuse me for interrupting you. Tell us, what are those strategies? Give us an example if you could.
Okay, I will. Let's see. So there's 4 key tips. We're going to be using the whiteboard.
Let's do it.
In case
I love whiteboards. Yeah, I'll make it bigger. Maybe.
Oh, perfect.
Go ahead.
And now you can see my full URL on there. Okay. And there's 4 top ones that I like to share, and we'll probably just do 1 or 2 here, depending on time.
Okay.
And I'm writing the first one. This is where you get to wait in suspense.
Drum roll, please.
Yes.
You're a master of suspense.
I read, sorry, this is like a funny side note, but I read these things about dating, and they're always, if you want it, the best thing to encourage dating, right, it's to be a master of suspense. So here we have, although you can't see my face right now, but what does this say?
Reason to live. Reason to live.
Reason to live, yeah. And so I think you mentioned that I do dance. You're all going to dance with me. You can put your hands on your heart. And you're just going to open your hands forward and open as you say reason to live.
Reason to live.
Reason to live. Mm-hmm.
All right. I like this. This is my favorite interview ever. Reason to live. Can I yell it? Woo!
So when you come to my talks, you do learn to dance quite frequently. But as you can see, it's a very accessible dance. But here's the thing. I mean, even just doing that, how did you feel?
I feel fantastic.
You feel good. When we do the things we enjoy, right, that's our reason to live. When we focus on our mission and our purpose, that's our reason to live. So this is interesting because the healing stories, these doctors who are trained, if you've heard of Dr. Bernie Siegel, so he wrote Love, Medicine, and Miracles. So he's worked with hundreds of clients. And what does he realize? The people who are given the terminal diagnoses, like which ones heal? The ones who have the reason. And it doesn't matter.
Like a real desire to live are the ones that are going to live.
There's a focus there. There's something for them.
Okay.
So it could be watching your kids walk down the aisle, just watching your grandkids grow up, finishing reading the last page of a book. My favorite one is actually a woman who we believe stayed alive because she wanted to finish watching a soap opera series.
What was the soap opera? Do we know?
No, I don't remember. Yeah.
That's what we need to find out.
I know. I think it was like in China or something. So it wasn't even like an American. So you might not even know, what the soap opera was. I just remember Young and the Restless from growing up.
Hey, I'll take a reason to live. If it's the soap operas, I'll do it.
Exactly.
Whatever it is.
What is exciting you? Now, I want to bring this back to this time period, and we're a little more out in the world doing more of the things that we love, but a lot of us were in complete lockdown at the beginning of this pandemic. A lot of us were not doing our reason to live or our favorite things to do. But there was TV and old soap operas. So there was something out there to live for.
All I need is Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, I decided, I can't speak on stage. Like, I'll do some webinars, but I'm not excited to be on the internet all the time. So I'll just go have fun.
Perfect.
I relaxed, and then my business started growing. More than it was before. But here's one of the stories that Dr. Bernie Siegel shared is about John. And John had to go in surgery for cancer. And he said, no, I can't do it yet. Like, it's springtime. Like, I have to go make the world beautiful. He was a landscaper.
Okay.
So he goes, he does that, and he comes back and says, okay, I'm ready for surgery. And he does the surgery and they finish it. And then Dr. Bernie Siegel's like, well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we have to do another surgery. And John's like, no, it's still springtime. I can't do another surgery right now. I have to go make the world beautiful.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Years later, Dr. Bernie Siegel's assistant says, all right, well, John's here for your appointment. And Dr. Bernie Siegel's like, no way, that can't be him. There has to be two guys with the chart. Like, you gave me the wrong chart. That guy's dead. He didn't come back for his second surgery. And the nurse is like, no, open the door and let him in. Like,
oh my goodness.
It's really him. He survived that. There was a reason to live.
Make the world beautiful. That's fantastic. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So I'm just curious, how do you define success? Because it's about, using this healing and happiness to obtain success. And thank you for the tangible examples that you're giving us. How do you define success?
Yeah. Well, and I love that question. I think it's important for people to consider how to define success and to define it individually. Now, often when I talk about success in a broader way, I'm going to talk about it in the way that most of us think about it. Like, I made $1 million last year. I sold 100 homes, like that type of outward success. It's hard to guarantee that is the success that we're going to have. And therefore, if you don't have it, you can feel like a failure. And then you don't feel good inside. How successful are you at living life joyfully if you measure success on something that you can't 100% control?
I think that would be tough. And it would also be tough, even if you obtain that, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to still be happy.
Right.
Even if you obtain it.
Exactly. And I love that you're asking this, because the last meditation that I led for my meditation group was about understanding how to be the best you can be, which is another way of saying being successful. And it's not, that person who can make $1 million every year or $1 billion or sell 100 homes. For me, it's being in 100% acceptance of yourself.
Oh, wow. That's deep. So accepting who you are, accepting who I am.
It's being in the present moment. So when we talk about like, oh, we need to change. Actually, the only thing we typically need to change is the fact that we think there's something wrong and we need to change ourselves.
So would you say it would be true that having an awareness of the moment would be a tangible way to be able to obtain that success? To be present to who you're being in the moment and what you're doing in the moment?
Yeah. Well, all right. Think about this, a sales conversation. And let's say that I am not making enough money to cover my cost of living. So I'm really dependent on this sales conversation resulting in a sale. And I'm focused on making a sale. And that's what I'm thinking about. And you're sitting there feeling some distance.
Sure.
From me. Am I really looking at you, listening to you, appreciating this moment, trying to figure out what's going to serve you right now? Or am I focused on serving myself in the future?
Yeah. So of those two, and I describe what you just shared would be a description of what I teach in regards to what is rapport. Because what you just described, I'll say it a little differently, is a connectivity. Mm-hmm. So you bring the dance down, and you are a fan. If you look her up on Avital. Oh my goodness, I know. Please say your name. Please say your name.
Just call me Avital. Because
Avital Miller. Look her up on Facebook, because you will see some incredible dancing that will just inspire you. It is beautiful. It is
Thank you.
what you do is beautiful. Okay,
Thank you.
so and so in that dance, I'm sure if you're dancing with a partner, there's times where the two of you are connected with your energy, with who you're being, and with being present to each other, and you're moving in sync. And
Yep.
you may not even dance with that partner before. Would you
Mhm.
say that that's true? Have you had that experience? I'm assuming yes.
Yes, yes. Now, and here's the thing when we talk about the present moment. So sometimes you're used to certain patterns and somebody leading you in patterns, and then you dance with somebody else or your lead changes the pattern that day, but you're stuck in the past
Okay.
of what
Oh,
your
wow.
pattern used to be. And they try to lead you and you don't go there because you're trying to do what you used to do.
Okay.
You're not in sync. That was actually when I started salsa dancing, just as a follow. It was one of the best things to do to learn to be in the present moment. I had to have my weight centered the best I could at any moment so that I could be led in any direction in any moment. But that's what life is.
So it's being in the moment and not relying on the past when the dance changes. So when the dance changes, you would be ineffective to stay in the past and anticipating that you're going to do the same moves that you did before to continue doing that today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love this. I have also done a lot of improv and contact improv, but I know I learned this from improv. Sometimes I could create the image in my head of what I'm going to do 3 moves ahead.
Okay.
But if I'm truly in the moment, by the time I get there, I end up doing something different. And that's when I learned to stop even creating the future images as much.
Yeah.
And
And
to just
something that's taught in improv for the viewers and listeners is yes and. And so that concept would allow for you to be in the present, because if you're thinking 3 moves ahead in improv, it won't work because something's going to change in between now and then. Right. So tell us what you're familiar with yes and. So would you share with us sort of what that means and how that relates to what we're talking about?
the yes and.
Yes.
Oh, you mean instead of using the word but?
Yeah. So in improv, it's just like whatever you receive, you're going to say yes to, and which is going to build upon that. Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like if you're doing also acting, like speaking improv. So I was talking about movement and when you're by yourself, but when you're doing like a speaking improv, if you're stuck in your own story and somebody says something, and especially if you're acting this on stage and you just want to negate what somebody else said, it's not going to make sense to the audience.
sure.
If you're not following the story, you have to take what is given and then continue with that. So the pandemic happened. We couldn't ignore that it was here, that we had certain rules on us that we're not used to, that we had risks that we weren't used to thinking about, or we weren't worried about before, that we're worried about now. And the consideration to other people, even if you're not worried about it, of how you're going to do that. I mean, you could ignore it, but like what happens when you ignore it? Like it builds anger, it builds conflict. It
Doesn't
doesn't
serve
create
you for
that peace
sure.
and harmony.
Yeah. It's not recognizing your circumstance is circumstance. So there's nothing that you can do with circumstance yet. Focusing on what you can control or not control will allow for you to be able to dance with the moment. And if there's a pandemic, there's nothing you can do about that. There's things that you can do about that, though, which would be the way that you look at it, the way that you view it, the mental health that you provide, in your positive spirit. Give us a few more things on. Let's say if I'm struggling, and I'm struggling to be the very best that I intend to be, or I'm struggling with sadness or health issues or depression or whatever the case may be. What's a specific tactic that can allow for me to be in the moment?
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to give you a couple things, and let's play with just one specific example just to make it like a little more clear cut. And let's say you're dealing with depression.
Okay.
And I have a blog post on this on my Avital Miller website. I just call it The Dark Night of the Soul. So one thing is to bring yourself to presence, like literally my favorite technique, I call 5-4-3. And you're going to choose, the order of the senses doesn't matter. I just choose 5-4-3 is what you need to remember. But I'm going to notice 5 things I can see, 4 things I can hear, 3 things I can feel on the touch of my skin, like the air, your hair, your clothes, the seat
See,
under.
hear, feel. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. But you could change hear, feel, see, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter what order. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Because also a lot of times what our fears and our concerns are not related to what's actually happening right now. It's the potential of something in the future. And depression actually, I believe, has to do more with our past, because it's recognizing an aspect of ourselves that we're moving on from, but some of it is still lingering there. And so there's a conflict in ourselves where a part of us has moved beyond it or wants to, and a part of us still sees it. So the 5-4-3 can automatically help people relax and be in the moment. But the next thing is to actually say to yourself, what if it's okay that I'm depressed?
Oh, wow. So it's okay. I am perfect just the way I am, and it's okay, whatever shows up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a level of acceptance. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing that happens is like when we're in pain, like we're in pain that we're in pain. We're in pain that we're depressed. We're in pain that we're sad. So first of all, say, what if it's actually a sign that we're growing? What if this is part of the natural growth process? What if this is bringing a message that's going to help me learn and transform life for the better? So then to reduce resistance, right? That's what I talked about earlier, resistance to what is happening. You're automatically going to create another layer of relaxation in your body by, instead of saying it's bad that I'm depressed, saying maybe it's okay.
And that in itself is going to help to heal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
I believe also that a part of us like wants to experience a huge array of the human emotions and create understanding and learning from different situations. And so the other thing you can do is say, all right, I'm going to be as depressed as I can right now. And I'm going to enjoy being depressed as much as I can, because either you're wanting to do it just to feel the sensation of what it feels like, or because you are going through a growth process and that's part of it. So, resisting it could potentially slow down the growth process. Accepting it, allowing it, feeling it as deeply as you can makes it easier to get to the end of it.
Yeah. So what I hear you describing is just another example of flowing with the moment, and being in the moment and accepting the moment, whatever that may be.
Mm-hmm.
And what I hear you saying is, when you accept the moment, if the moment's not desirable or not ideal and you accept it, then it will allow for you to move towards something that's desirable or ideal, or at least the possibility of that. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, it'll open up and it'll create that space. So when I was going through a dark night of the soul, when I wrote that blog post, because it actually happens a number of times at varying degrees as we grow past something. So one of them where it was more extreme, I threw out my entire definition of who I was. And I just said, I'm going to surrender this and I'm going to allow myself to be rebuilt. And literally, I stopped having so much of the pain that I was having when I just made that decision. So creating that space to say, okay, I'm letting go and I'm open to what is going to be discovered about where I'm going, whether it's the same or different as what I have created in the past.
That's phenomenal. That's very helpful to us. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Avital Miller, give us one more little nugget, and then I'm gonna ask how we can get in touch with you. So one more nugget of what's something tactical, what's something tangible that we could do.
Yeah. So then once you've surrendered, then do what you enjoy. It's like you can go back to life. You don't have to sit there and necessarily try to figure out. You don't even have to consciously understand the shifts that are happening. And so you're tuning in each moment to say, all right, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? You know, the easy answer for feeling better is also meditation, but only if you're enjoying it while you're doing it. Sometimes you just need the right techniques, which is a lot of what I offer. Like people are often coming to me because like, I can't figure out how to meditate or enjoy this. And you just need to find the right set of techniques to help you get to that place. But there's so much research out there that even shows how meditation will decrease the sadness, the depression, and move things on faster. And we're stimulating, when we're meditating, we're automatically stimulating the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, and the amygdala. I mean, this is fun because we're talking about, like, even for your real estate people, like, how are we going to be better at our business, right? So this is helping with memory, with learning new things, decision making, with our fear response. So that leads to the ability to complete tasks, to plan ahead, to confront issues that come up, to enhance our willingness to take risks and ease our reaction to stress. Imagine how much more successful we become simply by taking these actions that automatically help us relax.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much today. Today we talked about how you can use inner peace and happiness to obtain success. And if I'm somebody that's seeking more inner peace, greater happiness, how can I get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can always find me on Facebook if you're not already watching on Facebook. And Avital is spelled like Avital. And then you'll see underneath my name here, healinghappensforyou.com. So that's where you're going to get general information about the healing practices that I offer. But I wanted to offer a gift to the people listening right now, if that's okay, Dan.
Yes, please.
Okay, because I was just mentioning the benefits of meditation. And what I do with the meditations is I take the ancient practices from my yoga guru who I studied with, but then I also add in all these new things that I've been learning about how to get to the greatest success and peace of mind. And I create these themed meditations. So if we're working on goal setting, if we want to take giant leaps, overcome fear, thrive in uncertainty, these are all things that are part of the meditation program. I do live meditations, and there's, believe it or not, over 100 recorded meditations on all of these different topics in the meditation group. So those of you watching right now, you get to have 1 month of being a guest as part of that program. And if you go to healing-happens.com, that's where you can access that.
Healing-happens.com. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. Thank you very much, Avital Miller. Really appreciate you joining me today, and the actual advice that you share with us is really, I think it's gonna help to change lives and have a ripple effect throughout the world. So thank you again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Give us a thumbs up by clicking the like button below. Don't forget to subscribe to